all set?
I don't know if I'm all set. I don't know what I'm doing. You didn't say you were coming in. I
Is
don't
that
know.
a problem?
No, I just. I've started now.
It starts. So just make sure you're recording. Are you recording? Just make sure you're recording.
What?
What?
Okay, it's almost 12 o'clock. I'm not sure how many people have signed in. Once again, I'm sort of new at doing this, so whoever is online now, if anybody is, thank you so much for joining me again for another TED Talks. This week, the subject is Run Faster, Run Longer. And what I'm going to do is discuss briefly with a few slides why it is that strength training or resistance training or weightlifting is so important for improving your running. Now, like I did last week, I gave people a few minutes just to sort of join in, although it's 12 o'clock now. I'm probably not going to start for another 30 seconds or a minute or so. So again, I wanted to say thanks for joining me. And remember that you can, anyone who's in the area, I'm offering a complimentary slow burn personal training session so that you can come in either at the New York or Montclair facility and you can experience what a slow burn strength training session is all about. I'm going to see if I can. I'm not actually really sure if this has started or not, because one of the things about Zoom is that it doesn't let you know. So I don't know how to figure this out. Let's see. Anyway, well, I'm just going to start. I'm not sure if this is really recording or not. I'm not really sure.
It's 12 o'clock.
So I'm just going to begin the presentation, and hopefully it's working. Oh, the thing I did want to do was go to the Facebook page and see if I was. Oh, it says stop live stream, which means I guess I am streaming it live. So that's good. All right. Anyway, I'm just going to start the presentation, and hopefully it'll turn out okay. So again, a little bit about me. I am the co-author with Drs. Michael and Mary Danides of the Slow Burn Fitness Revolution. And that book is a book that discusses all about slow burn personal training, or all about slow burn strength training for the home and in the gym, as well as a low carbohydrate diet approach. Also, I am the author of Strong Kids, Healthy Kids, which is also a book about strength training and healthy eating for children. And I'm also the owner of Slow Burn Personal Training Studios in both Montclair and New Jersey. In New York City and New Jersey. So again, the title of this talk is Run Faster, Run Longer. Now, the main thing that I would like you to understand is that whether you're running as a runner, or running on the tennis court, or running on the soccer field, or running on the baseball field, or running any way you do it, the important thing to understand is this. Your muscles, your skeletal muscles, they are force producing. That's all they do. They produce force. So a lot of the examples I give, or some of the examples I give is, imagine Usain Bolt is the fastest man in the world. Now, if right before Usain Bolt was about to run the 100-yard dash or the 100-meter dash, and I went up behind him with my magic wand of muscle and increased his muscular strength by 100%, do you think he would run A, the 100-meter dash faster, B, the 100-meter dash slower, or C, no change at all? Well, there's another way to think about it. Imagine if I went up behind Usain Bolt, tapped him with my magic wand of muscle, and decreased his strength by 100%. Do you think he would A, run faster, run slower, or the answer, of course, would be if I reduced his strength by 100%, he couldn't move. So he would obviously run the 100-meter dash slower, more slowly. So conversely, if I was to increase his muscular strength by 100%, there is no question that he would have to run the 100-meter dash faster. Now, that is the same, that also holds true if you are a middle distance runner or a distance runner. So again, muscles are force-producing engines. Now, wouldn't it be silly if you wanted to make your car faster, and so in order to do that, you drove around the block as fast as you could, right? That's not going to make your car faster. The only way you're going to make your car faster is to remove the engine that you have in the car now. Let's say it's a V6 engine, a 3-liter V6 engine, as you see on the right, and replace it with a larger, more powerful engine, like a 6.2-liter engine or a V8 engine that you see on the left. That would be the only way to make your car move faster. Now, inside all of your muscles, you have little muscle fibers. And those fibers are called myofibrils, the ones you see on the far left, those little guys. They're, when you strength train properly, whether you do it with me or you do it another way, you're increasing the total number of those little fibers, those little teeny-weeny force-producing engines inside what you see on the right-hand side, which is the belly of the muscle itself. So that could represent your legs, your hips, your thighs, any muscle in your body. So the more little fibers you have on the left inside the larger fiber you have on the right, the more force-producing engines you're creating. Now, I'm going to get to the endurance part of this in a little bit, but I'm just leading up to that. Okay, so hopefully that, that makes sense. Now, you have many different types of little fibers. The ones you see on the left are what they call the slow twitch fibers, which are primarily responsible for endurance. The ones in the middle, so you can call those guys the marathon runners. The ones in the middle, you could call them the triathletes, and the one on the right, you could call those guys the sprinters. And those are what they call the type 2B, or now I think they call them type 2X fibers, that are more responsible for power. Now, one little thing I do want to say about this is, you hear a lot of well-meaning trainers or exercise physiologists or physical therapists use the term fast twitch and slow twitch. Fast twitch and slow twitch doesn't refer to the speed with which the fibers can contract. they refer to the fatigue characteristics of those fibers. In other words, the fibers on the left are slow to fatigue, and the fibers on the right are very quick to fatigue. But the fibers on the left, the slow twitch fibers, are capable of producing very rapid, quick movements if the force requirements are low. Now, if you look up top, you'll see it says why training to muscle failure equals success. And the reason why it equals success is when you're doing any kind of an exercise to strengthen your muscles, you always want to make sure that you take the set, let's say push-ups. You want to do as many push-ups as you can until you reach the point where you literally cannot do another one. Why? Because then you're making sure that all of the available muscle fibers are being recruited. Your slow guys, your intermediate guys, and your fast twitch muscle fibers. So this way, you're improving all of the different muscle fibers that you need for running. Well, any sport, of course, but in this particular case, for running. Now, we're going to get on to the endurance aspect of it. I hope that first part in talking about power output made sense. Now we're going to talk about the endurance aspect of it. Now, a lot of people think that when they run, they improve their heart and their lungs. While it's true that the heart does change a little bit, you pump out more blood per unit of time, which is called your stroke volume, and your ejection fraction, the amount of blood that the heart pumps out in per beat, that does change. It, quote unquote, improves in order to fuel the muscles that are asking for more blood. But the real reason why your body improves in endurance is because you're creating more of what's called mitochondria. Mitochondria are the energy-producing organelles. They're sort of like little energy-producing furnaces within the muscles. So when you improve the total amount of muscle fiber that you have, you're actually increasing the total amount of mitochondria that you have. This particular slide here shows you on the left-hand side sort of a myofibril, and you can see towards the middle the mitochondria and the mitochondria that sort of live in and around the myofibril. On the right-hand side is a stain of an actual muscle fiber, and so you can see the mitochondria live in and around the myofibrils. So the more myofibrils you have, the more ATP energy you'll be able to produce. So the more endurance, stamina, wind, whatever you want to call it, you'll have by producing more muscle tissue. So again, to recap this, the changes within your heart and lungs from any kind of endurance activity are not really the main reason why we can run faster or longer. I have a lot of clients say, well, Fred, I couldn't run 3 blocks, and after 6 months of my cardio program, I could run 3 miles. Again, it's not that your heart and lungs changed much. What really happened is that your body, you increase the amount of mitochondria within your muscles, which allows you to produce more energy, and that improvement allows your body to uptake oxygen better, produce more energy, and that's the reason why you increase the amount of endurance or wind or stamina, and the reason why so many of our clients will have remarked to us after as little as 2 to 3 months strength training, how they can run up the hills faster, how they're running far longer, and they're far less out of breath when they do their usual runs. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you do have any questions of any kind, please type them in. There's a little button up top here that says Q&A, and apparently it flashes if there are some questions. So far, I don't see anything up there yet, but if you do have any questions, anything you want me to explain, please enter your questions. I forget exactly where you have to do it, but I think it should be pretty clear where, and then I'll answer them as best as I can. So here's just one study. I like to have every once, for all of the different talks that I do, at least one research paper to support the things that I'm saying. And in this particular paper, maximal strength training improved aerobic endurance performance by improving work economy, meaning kind of what I just said before. In virtually all of these research papers, the improvements in aerobic capacity come from the body's ability to produce more energy from the increase in muscle that you produce through strength training. Let me just move this out of the way so I can read this. I hope I didn't leave anything out. I did want to say again, sort of as a recap, that if you want to run faster and you want to run longer, one of the number one thing you should do is to strength train or lift weights. Now, you want to do that a couple of days a week and no more than that. And the reason for that is, as I've mentioned in previous talks, the benefits of exercise, actually any kind of exercise, come when you're resting. They don't come when you're performing the exercise. So you want to make sure that you give yourself ample recovery time between your strength training workouts. Now, here's a question. I see someone had a question pop up. I'll address that in a minute. If you run every day, which I think is a mistake, I think runners should give themselves at least a day or two during the week where they do not do any exercise at all to recover. You may find that weight training only once a week might be better for you. And that's why it's important to keep accurate records when you're doing your strength training exercises. And if you have any questions on that, you can always email me and I can send you a sample of a chart that I use so that you can, to help you keep records of your training progress. You want to eat a diet that's rich in protein, fatty proteins, because you need the protein in order to repair and recover the muscles that you're fatiguing, both when you're strength training and when you're running. And it really kind of depends on your body weight, your lean body weight. So if you're a male runner who weighs about 150 pounds, you're going to need at least 120 grams of protein a day to support your lean body weight. So it's generally about a gram of protein per pound of lean body weight, not per pound of body weight, per pound of lean body weight. And one of the things we do here at Slow Burn Personal Training Studios is we have a machine called the InBody 570, and we can actually, and what we do is measure people's lean body weight, muscle mass, fat weight, so we can help our clients determine how much lean weight they have, which allows us to recommend to them the amount of protein that they need. If you can Google InBody, and there are centers around the country that offer these machines so that you can go and test yourself to see how much lean body mass you have. That's just one way. Reduce reliance on carbohydrates. Now, Timothy Noakes, who wrote a book called The Lore of Running, he's an MD, PhD, who is considered one of the biggest gurus on running in the country. He recently took back virtually everything he said about diet, saying that he was wrong about recommending high carbohydrate diets. The research on this proves him right, that if you really want to be a good runner and you really want to run longer, you really want to rely on body fat as your main source of fuel. And in order to do that, to teach your body how to rely on fat and not carbohydrate, you want to make sure that your diet is what's called low carb or ketogenic. So you want to make sure that the amount of total carbohydrate in your diet stays fairly low and that the bulk of your calories are coming from fatty proteins. Again, if you have any questions on that, I'll try to answer them. And rest and recovery. Please understand once again that the benefits of exercise come when you're resting and recovering. They do not come when you are exercising, okay? So even for an elite runner should probably be running no more than 2 or 3 times a week so that his body has ample time to recover. Many of the runners that I've trained who have taken that advice have remarked how much better their running is, how much better their joints feel, because they allow not just for muscle recovery, but for repair of the entire system. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a look. There's 3 questions in the Q&A. one question was distance running versus, let me just see here. I'm going to answer this live. Distance running versus short distance running. There really doesn't make any difference. The skill involved in either is something you have to practice with a good coach, but the muscles of the body, if they're made stronger, they're going to produce more mitochondria, and you're going to be able to do either short distance running or long distance running better. Another question is having to carb up before endurance runs. Okay, well, once again, you don't want to rely on carbohydrates as your main source of fuel. What can happen in the beginning of switching from a high carbohydrate diet to a high fat diet is for the first maybe week or two, you will definitely feel that your performance suffers. But once your body becomes fat adapted, and a very good book to reference is a book called The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Performance by Dr. Jeff Volek and Dr. Stephen Finney. That book is rich with great information about learning how to alter your diet and adapt from a high carbohydrate diet to a low carbohydrate diet. Okay, so it is now 12. One other question that I'll answer. Nutrition to help you recover. Well, once again, the very best nutrition the very best way to recover from a nutritional standpoint is to make sure that you are taking in enough protein, and specifically fatty proteins. You don't want to eat lean proteins, and that's a whole nother discussion. I might get into it another time, but you want to make sure that you're eating fatty proteins because you need the fats to properly digest the proteins in your diet, and try to keep the amount of carbohydrate in your diet to greens rather than starches, and that's going to be the most helpful way to approach your diet. All right, so I'm going to stop there today. I hope everybody enjoyed it. If for some reason this did not get live, I am recording it, and I will post it live on Facebook and post it live on YouTube soon. So thank you very much for, whoops. Oh, well, let me see. I'm not too savvy about this. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you at my next Fred Talks, which now I'm forgetting what the subject of that is, but you'll be getting, those of you who have subscribed to me, you'll be getting an email. I think it has to do with golf and why strength training is so important for golf, but you'll be getting reminder emails, and once again, thank you so much for joining me, and have a strong day.